Nice. Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Isabella. I work in marketing here at TASoft, and I have here a lot of guys that I'm really happy to introduce you to you guys. First, Mark Taccolini. He's our founder and CEO. Philip is one of our senior engineers. And I got Walker Reynolds. And actually, Walker, do you want to give us a little intro, explain a little bit of your experience? And then I'll get into what we're doing here today.
Yeah, so I'm a solutions architect, and I am the chairman at 4.0 Solutions, the Prove It conference, and FullStrength.ai. And I've been working with FrameworX since 2017-18, and I've been consulting with Mark and the team on all these features that have come out in version 10.1. So I'm pretty excited to what we're going to see today. So just for everybody here who's watching, I have not seen this demo yet. So I got a download link 45 minutes ago. I installed FrameworX at the bottom of the hour. I saw the solar panel demo real quick, and you're going to see my raw reaction to the AI feature sets in FrameworX. So I have not seen the webinar from last week yet. So I have not seen or on October 1st where they launched. So yep. I'm excited to see, especially the Claude integration with MCP. So
awesome. So yeah, just to kind of give you guys an overview, October 1st, we launched officially FrameworX 10.1, which is really the new generation of our platform. And today we're taking a little bit of a deeper dive, going to some technical aspects, especially around WebAssembly and the AI tools. So Mark, I'll let you go. Give us an overview, explain a little bit about 10.1, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. I think I will start doing a 5-minute summary on what was the 45 minutes presentation we did last week. It'll be less than 5, I promise. When we did the introduction of 10.1 last week, we start showing first this new documentation stack. Our documentation was completely created to really be able to deliver what we needed for the products. So it was completely rewritten. And I'll not go in details now. We have the video in our website for last week presentation, October 1st presentation. But we organized the documentation through these GTX frameworks that make very clear what documents intend to do. So there was lots of effort to redo completely our documentation stack, and including use cases.
What drove that, Mark?
Well, what I can say, hundreds of people telling us, you include, that the more flexible the product is, of course, the more clear the documentation must be. And I believe the number one limitation in our previous generation was the onboarding of new users. They were really not enough clear how to navigate on the system.
Right. That's probably the biggest. If you look, you've got this S curve of investment, time in a new platform or new technology, and then return on investment, and that opening tail used to be very long with FrameworX because it's a different development environment. It's incredibly powerful. It has all the high end stuff. It is simple at its base level, but at the top end, it is incredibly powerful. There's really no limit to what you can build. So it's really more of a rapid application development environment, right? It's an IoT platform, and the onboarding was definitely long in the beginning. It took a while for people to get fluent enough where they can unlock potential. So this new documentation, especially the Diataxis framework, which is an educational framework, is so now it's more focused on education rather than just documenting features.
And we did a hybrid implementation of Diataxis for the ones that know the framework, because it's very well divided in those learning experiences. But we also create through hyperlinks. If you want to go on alarms, we have all the hyperlinks that you can stay in alarms. All the experience from tutorial, advanced examples. So we use the hyperlinks. We provide a matrix experience. You can go through the standard GTX navigation, tutorials, explanation, or you can focus in one specific functionality. That's what we did on the documentation. Then what we did on the presentation, we have those two little demos that we're putting in the new ones we put is the solar panel demo and this blocking lights demo.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed with the install was that there's 3 demos in there.
Exactly.
Right? And all 3 demos are AI related. All 3 of them have ML support in them.
No, the 2 that are AI related are those 2, the solar panels and the bottom line.
Okay, and then the third one, that third demo, which one is that? What is the third demo in there?
The demo is we call the asset monitor, this one here.
Okay, got it. All right.
So the main goal of this demo, frankly, was a lot based on the ProVit conference, this one here. So the main goal of this one is to show how you can combine multiple data sources, include static mapping and dynamic mapping to have a more rich, complex enterprise-level monitoring, pretty much based in some ProVit specifications.
So the old demo that used to be in FrameworX that has this is totally not germane to this podcast, but for my own information. So there's a demo that you have in there that's like it's black. The color scheme is black and yellow, and it's putting windshields on a truck, right? That one.
Yeah.
Is that demo going to go back in?
Well, it's in our website to download. We are not
got it. All right.
doing the installation by default.
Because I find that demo when I'm demoing FrameworX, that demo is the most valuable demo to show off the, like, people will ask me, why should I use where should I use FrameworX? Well, there are features in that demo that are things that you really can build only in FrameworX as fast as you can build them in FrameworX. Like there's function in the UI that you really can't build anywhere else. So I kind of use it to differentiate like the speed of refresh on the UI and how clean the integration is to the backend data. So you can get really, really high performance, high speed visualizations. FrameworX is like ideal for high speed refresh.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm building anything that is where I want the screen to update 60 times in a second, you can't really do that in other platforms because you guys are native.net. That's how you pull it off. But that demo is really valuable. That's that one with putting the windshields on the trucks is a very valuable demo. So I would put that in the default package, by the way.
Yeah.
If I
don't be surprised, guys, if our next release that demo is back. You know the reason. And the one that are installing by default that shows a little bit of performance is this one here, where you have this block light machine, and you can speed up that to really go to that 50 milliseconds refresh rates to have some similar concept as well. But I really like that demo also. The end-on demo. Good. And so essentially what we did, this one is more the enterprise level, how we manage richer set of data. And those two, they are showcasing both the performance of WebAssembly plus AI. This one shows the integration with machine learning, and this one shows the integration with MCP tools, okay? And I may rebuild those demos from scratch today or not, but we have the 5 minutes video, and Isabella will put the links for those, showing how we can create those very easily. I can give
this solar panel demo was built in 5 minutes, right? This is the one that was
exactly.
All right, good.
And I'll not recreate it completely. I've just given an idea of how that's even possible, okay? When you create a new solution, that's what I'm doing now. We have a nice set new of templates. So this template portable layout allows you to very easily create an application that when you open a mobile device or in a tablet or a desktop, the display will organize itself more friendly. So you don't have to worry about that. And then when you create the unified namespace for this demo, we didn't even have to create anything because we were showing in this demo how we can connect dynamically with MQTT data sources. So in this demo, leveraging our built-in broker and our Spark Plug simulator. And we are using the data on the display should be dynamically mapping to the data from the external broker. So
and so for the people who aren't familiar with FrameworX, so or they are, but they don't work with it a lot. A tag is an object in FrameworX. So when you build a unified namespace, the semantic hierarchy above the tag is really a property of the tag. It's not. It is. I don't know what you guys call the parameter, what you call the field, but like a folder is not a thing. A folder is an indirect. It's an abstraction. That's all it is. It's not an actual object. So one of the reasons that FrameworX is so performant is because the tag is an object. So at its root, all the tags are just listed in a table. They're literally siblings. All tags are siblings to one another in practice, and then you create these abstractions, which are the semantic hierarchy, which is kind of a very elegant way of doing it, which makes the tag so much more performant.
Yeah, the same concepts. Just a sec, Philip.
Yeah, sure.
The same concept of object orientation. I'm not going to teach today, but it applies to all modules. So an alarm group, a device, a script test, a display, all are .NET objects. So the level of the exposed properties, performance we have, it's really amazing because everything is standard .NET objects. Go ahead, Philip.
I was going to say exactly like that. Once you are inside a property of a tag, like a level or a minimum or maximum, that's a .NET property. That's a .NET value. So you can go ahead of only staying in the tags. You can go into the .NET level of that to work with that property, what gives you like full capability to do whatever you want.
So how did that demo in 5 minutes? The unified namespace, you see this icon, it's linked. So all the data model is dynamic, showing whatever is in the broker. That simple way you define the unified namespace. So we have some local tags, like those are local, but all the other ones are dynamic tags. And then when we're doing the MCP integration, the AI tools, when you create those classes and those tasks in our product now, we enhanced a lot our library. So we put the basic examples for machine learning, for MCP in the library. So
your MCP server in, because now you have an MCP server in FrameworX.
Oh, we do.
That MCP server takes what form? So inside of FrameworX, it is what? It's a module. It's a
class inside the scripts.
Okay, it's a class inside the scripts. The MCP server.
When you create a new script, you can select to be an MCP tool.
Perfect. All right.
And what we did for MCP, it's very interesting. Well, first of all, before you ask, yes, we're going to have MCP for designer engineering later this year. But our primary focus was on the runtime data.
Is that the FrameworX Assistant?
No, FrameworX Assistant is to help with the online documentation.
All right, perfect. Got it.
Yeah, we can talk that. It's just an extension.
What are you going to call it? What are you going to call it inside of? So what he's talking about here is FrameworX will have an agent that'll help you build applications inside of FrameworX. What will you call that?
It will be it should be the MCP tool, but for the designer.
Got it. Okay.
The MCP tool you can deploy on the production and on the configuration.
And just so I'm clear, so FrameworX supports a single server per server, a single MCP server. So I have one STDIO endpoint for or is it a server per project in a server?
It's a tool per project, but it's only one endpoint. I'm sorry, it's one endpoint per project.
One
To the
endpoint per
partner.
project, many tools. You can build many
Exactly.
tools, but there's one endpoint. So it's an STDIO endpoint per project.
And of course, you can go through URL also. It can be cloud-based.
All right,
For
perfect.
demonstration, the standard IO is much easier, of course.
Yes, I mean, that's how everybody's
but-
getting started. Everyone's
Yeah.
getting started at STDIO. Yeah.
So here's a good example. In this example, we have the FrameworX bottom line and the solar panels exposed to the AI. And we have some predefined servers like get tag start and get tag value, get online alarms.
Real quick, can you explain how you hooked Claude? So not everyone, I think most people who are working with Claude right now, when they connect to a MCP server, what they do is they go to the built-in connectors and they might connect Claude directly to their Google Drive. Well, that's actually an MCP server. Google has an MCP server, and you're basically using the toolkit in Drive. And then there's two other ways. You can go into developer and you can edit the config, which is the Claude desktop config.json file, which is running on your local machine. And there's an entry in there to drop in the instruction set for your local Claude agent to be able to connect to a local MCP server. So
exactly as you described. And this JSON file, we have our documentation, the example, and it's really very simple. It's just the port number with the location of the exe file. Those are the parameters here, by the way. That's exactly this count that you see here.
So just simple command, single line for the argument. All you do is click edit config, and then basically there's a key value pair that's MCP servers is the parent key value, and then there's a JSON that's a list of local servers you could connect to. You have an entry for each project. So you would have a FrameworX solar panel MCP server, and the command would be C program files, blah, blah, blah. And the single argument would be that. And then you update the config, click save, restart Claude, and now you're connected to your project.
Exactly. And the reason you can run many projects at the same time, the solar panel is running port 3105. Okay. And the bottom line is under 3101.
And so now
the two entry points.
So now your agent can talk to FrameworX about both projects at the same time. So you could ask a question. You could give the agent a task across an objective across projects, something that an answer that would incorporate both the bottling line and the solar panel data together into some outcome.
Exactly. For instance, what's the solar panel production or power output, to be more specific, power output in Spain? Okay. So he researched the tools he has available to see if one of those tools has information about solar panels. And he found here one tool to find that information. So he requests, that's how he's doing the call, by the way. You can see the exactly call he's doing to the application.
Perfect.
So
and because of the way you've implemented MCP, I can essentially turn FrameworX into a data bus, because I could create a tool that allows my agent to explore database result sets, right? I mean, I'm not limit any connector that a project can connect to. I can create a tool that the agent could then access, right?
And that's really the key point you are straight to it, because our first version, we're reading tags.
Right.
But that's no fun, because the user needs to know the tag names. He needs to have some understanding of the application.
Yeah, and you want to be able to get context from databases about the data. Like you want to enrich the answer from data.
It's very easy.
Yeah.
You just create your classes using our templates, as many tools you want specific to that solution. That's simple. Okay. Wow. We still can go to tags. Okay. If you want to do things like what's the uptime, you still can do. But what's nice on that, you see, it works at a high level. And by the way, I didn't even ask that, but he decided to enrich the information. Madrid is the top city. It was not my original question that I asked about Spain. And
so
he
I
decided
have,
to-
so in my companies, so I have many companies I have to run. And so each morning when I wake up, because I don't have this running as a background task yet, I have Claude running on my desktop. I'm connected to 24 local MCP servers plus Google Drive, Gmail, the Stripe API. I think there's another one in there too. But there's more than 24 MCP servers that my Claude agent is connected to. And then I have a project that is executive dashboard. And in that project, there is a very long instruction set. It's about 500 lines long that basically instructs any chat that I open. Here are the rules for this project. And then there is a JSON file in there that basically tells the agent how it's supposed to build my dashboard each morning.
Exactly.
And so, and the goal of the dashboard is, number one, I need to understand the health of my companies immediately across the core KPIs. So in 4.0 solutions, for example, we have to look at monthly recurring revenue. We have to look at accounts receivable. We have to look at cash on hand. We have to look at campaigns. We have to look at pipeline, and then cash flow. So I have to see the full skyline of the company. I have to be able to look at the company over a quarter and go, are we going to run out of money in the next 12 weeks or not? And what interventions do I need to take? And I have to do that on a daily basis. Oh, Notion is the other MCP server we're connected to, because we actually use a Notion backend for the transactions. All right. So every morning, all I do is I type in build my dashboard for today. So Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. And then the agent takes the instructions, the JSON build, and all the servers it has access to connecting to, and it goes through all the data, and it takes a few minutes for it to build a dashboard because it's collecting a lot of data for the context. And then it builds me a multi-tab dashboard, one tab for each company that gives the financial health. And then one tab that's got essentially, here's everything from your calendar and your Gmail. And here are the things you must do by 10 a.m. this morning. So it takes all of the financial health stuff, all of the meetings, all of the emails that I've received in the last 72 hours. And it says, these are the things you must do by 10. And so the objective is point me in the right direction between now, 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. this morning, so that my first 2 hours of the day are the most valuable. And the first thing I'm seeing here is, the first thing that stands out to me is I can put FrameworX in the middle of all that. Right now, I have many manual MCP connections and I have to manage the connections to many MCP servers. But now what I could do is I could put FrameworX in the middle of that, and I could build the real-time visualization, the real-time values, store the historical transactions for model training later using FrameworX. But then FrameworX can also be my hooks into my agent, which guides me in the morning. That's the first thing that's standing out, because right now the big limitation is I have all this information of this lab, all this edge data in my lab, and none of that's integrated into my insight. I have a separate hook into that. And so, you guys, I mean, you're the first IIoT, you're ahead of the other IIoT platforms with this feature set.
Yes. And also about connection, we are always growing the connection we have. In the documentation websites, we are showcasing here the 100 plus connectors that are built in the platform. So when we work in that kind of orchestration data hub, we have more than 100 connectors embedded at no cost around the platform. So we can get data from whatever.
Philip, how much do you work with customers?
Mostly almost 100% of my time.
So, I mean, for most people if you don't know who Philip is, if you want to talk to the technical developer at Tatsoft, so Mark is a technologist, he's the CTO, he's the founder, he knows the code base inside and out, and he leads the big development team that actually builds the platform. But the person that I want to talk to about application is always Philip. Like, how are customers using this? How does this help the customer with this problem? Like the person at other OEMs that you always want to talk to who's in application, that's Philip at Tatsoft. So if you don't know who Philip is, you definitely want to follow him on LinkedIn and bug him on all application stuff, because that's what I recommend everybody do. How when you see these feature sets, what are the top use cases that the typical Tatsoft customer, because I don't think most people know like how Tatsoft actually started going to market. It was originally FrameworX. It was Factory Studio was the original name. Factory Studio was basically going to replace physical HMIs. That was the original. It's software to replace physical HMIs. That's how they went to market. But just like other IoT platforms, they were a rapid application development environment that was enterprise class, but the way they were going to market was replacing HMIs with it. So the typical Tatsoft customer is a little different than the typical customer in Industry 4. So the reason I'm asking the question. So when you first look at this, what problems have you been solving for customers for years where this suddenly becomes a tool that you've long been missing? It's a use case that this makes solving that use case 100 times easier.
Yeah, I think this is a good question because it mixes two things that are very interesting in our platform. All right. The first one is this capability that we have to centralize the information.
Mm-hmm.
We have something called Data Hub. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's a very interesting concept that we have, that we can get information from multiple different locations, and we can provide this information for a client.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first problem that we had in the past, because having this information centralized somewhere was very challenging. We had like options. Oh, what's your option? It's a SQL Server database, and then you throw everything there and run a SQL query.
Right.
That was not like in performance thinking. That was terrible. That was the first problem we did solve with the Data Hub and with MQTTs coming to the scene in the last few years. Then the second problem was having analytics running on top of this. When you have a lot of data is nothing. If you cannot get the data and turn that data into information, that's not valuable.
Correct. You want to turn data. At the end of the day, the customer wants to take data and convert it into a decision.
Exactly.
And data doesn't make decisions. Information informs people to make decisions. Correct. And now we want to use information to inform agents to inform people on the optimal decision.
That's exactly what is the biggest challenge. That was the biggest challenge we had, because analyticals, a lot of people like, oh, we need to put analytics on that, but I'm not a developer. Okay, now with AI and with those clients coming into the scene, you don't need to be a developer anymore. Correct. Because you have the information on your hands, and you just need to ask just a simple question, like if you were asking an operator, but you are asking an artificial intelligence that will go into our system, get this data, and provide the information that you're looking for. So I think that's the biggest one.
Perfect. All right.
And you run your own Python code, you run your whatever with that data is extracting. And we put an article asking, go slow with AI, don't put in control yet.
Agreed.
Yeah,
100%.
Isabella, put to the chat the Tatsoft.com article about a hype, AI hype.
Yeah. Let me say this part, because I think anybody who's watching this, and obviously there's a lot of like the Dylan Dufresnes of the world in the Industry 4 community, the Marco Donovans of the world, like they're going to see this, and they've been working with agentic AI enough now, like the Mark Friedmans of the world, the Aaron Semleys, that they kind of understand where the limits are. Like, hey, the ceiling is much lower for large language models than we originally thought. Like, we are seeing diminishing returns with each subsequent model coming out, regardless of what Sam Altman tells you. We all know, anybody who's working with agentic AI knows, okay, large language models are not the long-term solution. They're valuable, they're powerful, but there's some other technology that's going to get us closer to general AI. It's not large language models. I think it's small language models. I think very concisely trained models on specific industrial data is what is at the end of the day is kind of what we're going to be working with, not large language models that are trained on good and shitty data available. Sorry, good and bad data. It's not my podcast online, right? What's very important to note, if you are going to start working with agentic AI, okay, the idea of autonomous agents is a pipe dream right now. Like, human beings have to supervise and approve the work being done by agents, okay? Agents are a nail gun, okay? We used to build houses with hammers. Then we made a nail gun. You still need the carpenter to make sure the nail goes in the right place, and that when you put a crappy nail in, you put a second one in to shore it up, or you pull the bad nail out. That's the human being is still the supervisor of the work for the agent because of the limitations of large language models. I think it's really, really important for people to understand that this just makes agents, by and large, 90% of the impact of agentic AI is making human beings better, faster, more efficient, more focused, the ability to identify the problem faster. Okay, that's at the end of the day, that's really what the role of the agent's going to be. Okay. All right. Anyway, it's very important because I keep getting this question. You know, I just saw a thing online, you know, that 90% of jobs are going to get replaced by AI. Okay, is there some time in the future, maybe 2 decades from now or 3, where that's maybe, but are we going to see 90% of jobs go away in the next 5 years? Absolutely not. Like, absolutely not. What we are going to see is exponential growth in our economies because companies are getting so much more efficient using AI to make human beings better. That is the impact. And that's not my opinion. Mark has been working with large language models as long as I have been. Philip's been learning. Anybody who's been working with this stuff now understands the ceiling. Okay, yeah, this isn't a magic bullet. What it is it's a new tool. That's all it is. And yes, it makes me way faster. Yes, it makes me way faster. It teaches me new skills a lot faster. But it isn't, I'm not telling it to do someone's job and then walking away. It just doesn't work that way. Yeah.
But it's way faster. That's the key
way
part.
Faster.
Sometimes it's 10 times, 20 times faster. It's not 10%.
And what's crazy is the human being is the limiting factor. What we're starting to see is we can only learn so fast. Exactly. So we're not unlocking the potential at an exponential rate, even though in theory the AI agents could do that. The issue is we can only learn so fast. So just because there's a long list of 1,000 skills I can learn from an agent, I'm not learning 1,000. I'm learning the 5 most important ones right now, and then I'm developing 5 use cases, and then I'm doing 5 new and 5 use cases. And so it's more of it's not a trickle. It's a steady flow of learning. It's a steady flow of improvement, but it's not this massive exponential. Suddenly, I know I'm a brain doctor. I know how to perform brain surgery because I have, Claude desktop running on my laptop. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. But yes, the return, in some cases, Mark, I'm seeing 600x return on my time.
Possible.
Yes, I'm able to do 10 minutes of development or 2 weeks of development in 10 minutes in some cases. Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah.
And I personally am using the 3 models all times on a daily basis.
Yep.
Because
and
I put another article very interesting that the personality of each entity. Some things Claude's better, something GPT is better, something Gemini is better. So I'm working with the 3 models. I
think Gemini is the best at documentation. I think if you're asking an agent to do some type of documentation, Gemini is the best. If you are asking, if you're doing development, if you're doing technical things, then Claude is clearly the best. And then OpenAI is sort of the Swiss Army knife. Yeah, it's the one that falls like right in the middle. It's not particularly the best at anything except for performance. It's the most performant of the 3. But
those are exactly my conclusion. So Isabella, put in the chat area the article Prompt Engineering to Entity Engineering, where I come to the same conclusions Walker G. That's really what they are now.
Exactly.
And but one thing that was interesting when we started working with MCP tools, we had a mindset, of course, to be only reading data, because LLM is not reliable enough yet to starting doing real control yet. Of course, but then we realize that does not mean that communication cannot be bidirectional. We just have the proper gates on what kind of bidirectional communication can do. For instance, in this example, you can ask the clothes to create a short and nice HTML page to congratulate the Spanish solar panel operators, and it will call the AI tool to send back a message from the LM back to the operators. So the communication does not need to be necessary only reading data.
Will you go back to the agent and ask the agent to list the tools that are available in the solar panel project?
Probably yes. Let's see.
It'll respond as long as it's connected. You have this set up so that the endpoint is running all the time, right? Like the agent's not turning the tools on, right?
No, the tools are available all times. So those are the two tools available to that project.
So get output and send a message to solar panels operators.
That's what we did.
And those are tools available into the solution level
in the project.
In the project, in the solution, because they are customized for this specific solution. But the product itself, you can ask for getting tags, you can ask for like checking alarms and things like that. That's embedded in the software already. Doesn't matter. You don't need to code anything to do that.
So to disable those by default.
Got it. Okay.
Because what we learned by using our own software, all that's so new that
wait, real quick. So Philip, so what you're saying is when I create an MCP server in my project, I am inheriting the default tools in the MCP server. Okay. So I'll get alarm, get value, get tag history. I'm inheriting that, and then I'm able to add. Oh, that's sick. You should have. You should have led with that part. You should have led with you're inheriting these default, because everybody who's watching now is like, oh shit, they should have mentioned it. So there's already a stock toolkit, and then I'm adding project specific toolkit. I'm able to build my own tools in the project itself, and I get to get alarm online, get value, get tag historian is unique to the project, but I've inherited it into the project.
Exactly.
All right, that's sick. All right, that's awesome.
Our learning experience, Walker, was that sometimes those tools are a little overwhelming because it's too much information.
Yeah.
So when you are in our own learning path using our own tools, we learned that in many scenarios, even we have that out of the box, you want to gauge those things.
Yes.
Okay.
So are they disabled? They're disabled on the agent side? So you disabled them in Claude. You didn't disable them. Got it. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect.
I can now, if I have now that enable, I can ask, for instance, what's the value for several system monitor, CPU, or whatever. And the system was supposed to go to that specific variable. Okay. It's thinking. Probably I should said which project.
No, let's see if it reasons through it.
Yeah, he's thinking which one should I go. And
it stopped. You had a communications issue.
Yeah, for bottom line. But anyway, you can go to the specific tags information with those things. But we learned for real practical applications, the ability to customize the tools to each solution, I believe will be the #1 feature people will be really using.
Yeah, you nailed it there. You definitely nailed the implementation of the MCP server, because I've been viewing a lot of OEMs. I've been consulting with a lot of like vendors on their MCP support. You know, what are you doing with MCP? And a lot of vendors are struggling with how to implement, because you're going to implement it where you start matters, right? And so they don't want to get it wrong the first time and have to change it. And I'm actually kind of impressed at how you got the implementation right. And I think it's because Mark's been playing with agents so much. I mean, Mark, we had a meeting a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah.
Mark came to Dallas and we were talking about using agentic AI in development. And so he did you've done 2 benchmarks now, right? You did 3.5 and you did, or GPT 3 and 4?
And I did for 5.0 also.
And you did 5, right? So what the interesting thing about GPT-5 is, in some places we saw massive return, in other places we saw really diminishing returns.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And like now we know the ceiling is much lower than we originally thought it was. And
I found some critical errors in all those models.
Yeah.
And on the articles we listed some cases they do errors that are very, very basic errors. You need to be aware of that. They do amazing things, but they do basic errors also.
What is the ML.net stuff that we're going to talk about? What was the ML.net we want to?
By the way, both ML.net and MCP is because of technological foundation. The heavy R.net, you can create code dynamically in the applications. That's really the technology that enables that. If you don't have this infrastructure in the product, it would be very hard to mimic what we did, okay? And what you did for ML, it's very interesting because everyone's talk a lot about AI as language language model, becomes more or less the same of AI, but it's not true, of course.
Right.
Machine learning has been for years delivering great results. Okay. And
so for people, again, the people who are just getting into artificial intelligence, machine learning, artificial intelligence is simple. It's just using computers to mimic human intelligence. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence where you are specifically using computers to learn from data. So that's the difference between the two. Machine learning is all about pattern recognition. It's all about trying to identify a pattern. And the most common, so that you can predict an outcome. You want to train a model, recognize a pattern, and predict an outcome. So the most common ML application is linear regression. So I've got a large data set, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to say, for every value X, so for every value of this temperature sensor, what is the likely outcome Y, whether or not the production line is running or stopped? That's a good example, right? So linear regression is machine learning, and it is computers trying to learn from data. AI is the parent to machine learning, computers mimicking human intelligence.
Exactly. And it has nothing to do with these chatbots, large language model.
Right.
It's a very well-established technology being used for years in industrial automation.
GPTs are out here. You have AI and ML. That's standard. That's long, full self-driving in a Tesla vehicle. That's machine learning, right? And then you've got out here, you've got agentic, you have a GPT. ChatGPT created a whole new paradigm of AI and ML.
Exactly. So we decide to finally simplify to the users the ability to use a library that's very stable now. It's the Microsoft ML.net.
Okay.
It's in version 4.0. So when, again, using our scripts, you go to create a new class on the system. You can, with a checkbox, add all the dependents to do machine learning.net codes. So we put all the reference to you, and in our library put also some examples. So in this example, it was 5 minutes, because when he create the code, he picked up from the library one example for anomaly detection. That's what you need to do to use this call, is just to put the expression every time the tag has a new value, every 1 second. We call these methods with the value, and then you can have the anomalies detected. So because it's a very mature technology, you don't need to create that code really. If you want anomaly detection, range, all those linear regression, prediction, those algorithms are more than well known by now. We just need to pick up which one you are using. And in sometimes your application, like in this demo, will be as simple as one line of code where I'm calling my anomaly check with the value of my tag every time the tag has a new value. So the implementation itself to finish the model is at one line. And interesting enough, in this demo, instead of putting the result of the anomaly to not display, we made also the MCP integration. So we created, additionally to the machine learning, we put both together in the same code. So we create this MCP tool called Get Anomalies that will browse the last 10 anomalies from the system. But of course, in real life, you'll not be only an MCP tool. You'll be consuming the result of that machine learning on the display, scripts, whatever you want. Because when you combine both, this code is both doing the machine learning here and also is doing the MCP tool here. So we have a combined simple example with the two typical AI interactions.
And so for those and so for those of you who are not .NET developers, ML.NET is to .NET as what like the scikit toolkit is to Python. Exactly. So they're it's an that's an apples to apples comparison.
Which, by the way, you can use all those Python libraries in our product also.
Correct. But you call those separate, right? You can call Python scripts from a FrameworX project, right?
Yes. And we can also, if I create a task that runs every 5 minutes or in reaction to events, or I create a library of methods, either way, you can select the language to be Python. So Python is the same level of .NET in our platform now.
Oh, is it really?
Oh, yes.
Oh, so you're using an API to go from .NET to Python.
Yes. When you are calling Python from .NET, use the .NET Python integration.
Okay.
And you can also create in Python code that you run direct the Python interpreter to run. So
any limitations? Is there anything? What's a scenario where you wouldn't recommend? I mean, Philip, you're obviously a .NET developer, right? You're a C# .NET guy. Those who are using the Python API, what type of limitations do they point out, or are there any?
I don't even think there are like hard limitations. I think that's more up to your knowledge on the languages.
Okay.
But when I'm working with .NET tools, for example, I'm going to give a basic example. If I'm working with something very specific in .NET, let's say LDAP or security that is .NET related.
Yeah, .NET native.
.NET. Yeah, that's native, stay in .NET. Okay. But it's not a limitation.
I must say, Python is great, but does not have the performance C# has.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
The issue is that for many developers who never learned C# and .NET, if Python is all they like, I use this example all the time. Like when someone gives the argument, well, .NET and C# are so much more performant. I'm like, well, yeah, of course they're more performant, but
do I need that?
Yeah, if I'm the reason Python has, if you look at all languages, why we've seen massive adoption of Python, in spite of the fact it isn't as performant as other languages, we have to ask the question. The answer is because Python is a white space language that it was written, it's interpreted, and it's written in a way where you write the code the way a human being speaks.
Exactly.
Right? And so it lowers the barrier to entry for people. So then when people first start using Python, they're using it very simply, but they're using it and they're improving their fluency. Nobody uses .NET simply. You have to learn you have to learn how .NET works for like a week before you build your first functional tool. There's all this base knowledge you got to learn in order to write. I can teach someone how to write a for loop in Python, create a variable, and write a for loop to iterate through a list. I can teach that in 10 minutes. And hell, you do that 80% of the time in a Python script, you know.
And frankly speak about performance, if I'm asking to create a report with some data analytics, some very advanced data analytics, and I ask a report, and 2 seconds later, I have my full reports. Do I need really to do 10 times faster in C# to have in 200 milliseconds?
Correct, right.
Not really,
at the end of the day, you know what we all run into with Python? At the enterprise level, we run into critical mass. And then we're like, okay, now I need performance. And so now that's where refactoring comes in, and I've got technical debt. And
Exactly.
but in theory, I've unlocked a bunch of potential over the last 2 years using Python as my core.
Exactly.
My core.
And there is no other practical limitation, because to each solution, you define which Python version are you using. So not only can you use 3.7 plus, but each solution you create, you can have a different Python version on that solution.
Will you do me? I know we're going to go off script here. Actually, we didn't have a script. This was our script. And we're going to talk about AI tools, FrameworX Assistant, ML.NET, and the MCP server. That was our script. And I looked at FrameworX 30 minutes before. I looked at the new release 30 minutes before we jumped on. This is what I would normally do to a vendor, by the way, if they were showing me their new feature sets. Let's do this. Will you go back to Claude and ask Claude, ask Claude the original question, which was, what are the values of the solar panels or whatever it was? Whatever your initial question was.
I think what was the solar panel?
In Spain? Power output, yeah.
I think you just want to rewrite that to be. You kind of wrote it.
It usually is pretty smart.
Oh no, yeah, I was wrong. Look at that.
Oh, I type very fast, but also very wrong. So
And he gets
So now do this. Now do this. Ask it to write a simple HTML5 dashboard for an operator with this data. And I just want to point something out to you. So Mark is Italian and lives in Brazil, right? And you've spent decades in Brazil, right? That's why whenever you talk to Mark is like got this weird. He's got an accent I've never heard before, because it's a combination of Italian and Portuguese, like, together. It's weird. But anyway, the point is, the thing about Mark is Mark misspells a lot of stuff.
Yes.
He whenever he's presenting, he misspells. And one of the things I love about agents is it's irrelevant. The agent always figures out the word that you're talking about. And in software development, a person who spells really well is rare. Most software developers, because we're focused on different things. We're not focusing on learning I before E except after, C and blah, 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 blah. All right.
And there is another problem, Walker. Many times I know how to spell it proper, but I type quicker than I can think. Sometimes I can think as they run.
So what my ultimate goal here is, all right, there we go, right there. All right, now what I want to do is ask the agent, build a definitional JSON.
Oh, by the way,
go ahead and show.
Interrupt you. Here's what he created. He sent back the application.
Yes. So the agent sent it back in the application. So now, but here's what I want to do now. What I want to do now is I want to ask the agent, I want you to create a JSON definition of this dashboard so it can be reused in the future by other agents.
Mm-hmm.
And the question, what I'm trying to get at, Mark, is at the end of the day, I don't want to learn the intricacies of FrameworX anymore.
Yes.
I want an agent to build my dashboard in the way that that FrameworX is going to be able to recreate it. So now what you've got here, for those of you who are watching, do you want to know how I get if you ask an agent to build you a dashboard every day, build me a dashboard with these solar panels, it's going to give you a different dashboard every day that basically says the same stuff. The way you avoid that is once you get the dashboard you like, you ask the agent to create a definition for that dashboard in JSON and tell it it's going to be consumed by an agent. The agent's going to use this to decide how to build it, and they will build it exactly the same every day. And so if you're using agents to build visualizations, this is what you want to do. You want to build the visualizations, manipulate it, and then you tell the agent to create a definition. And eventually, I want to use this definition to visualize inside of FrameworX.
And that's a very good example why we start with the runtime data, not with the engineering.
Right.
Because the engineering will be way more sophisticated.
But if you go back to your project, Mark, if you go back to the project, and show the dashboard that it sent back in the runtime. If you go to the runtime, the dashboard that was sent back by the agent.
Here. Yes, that's a dashboard.
Okay, that's a big fucking deal. Like, sorry, Isabella. Sorry, I forgot. It's your podcast. Sorry. That's a big deal. Using an agent to build a visualization internally inside the platform. I mean, we're able to use all the reasoning power externally. The agent didn't have to know how FrameworX visualizes stuff.
No.
All we had to do is say build HTML5 and then send it back as a message. Because
we are going one more step. Sometimes the AI create things not exactly you want. You want to be able to customize as much as we need what the AI is created. And now it's where the fact we have the power foundation of all the modules behind, it gets real powerful. Because, for instance, if you go to that concept that we have of web data, that you can define JSON data, you can go to our JSON editor, and I can paste that definition that I got from Claude. And I can customize my JSON definition in my JSON editor inside FrameworX.
Beautiful.
So we don't need to rely for him or asking 10 times, modify this, modify that.
And so when you add in, because you're going to add in agent support inside the designer, right? You're going to have, and the MCP tools available to that agent are going to give you the ability to manipulate this just through an agent.
Exactly. So when you ask to create that dashboard, if you want him to be consistent, you can even customize the JSON and say using this JSON templates for the dashboards. Just feed with the proper data, okay? Because the AI on the designer for us will not be a black magic box. The integration of doing with the design MCP tools, they'll be creating configurations a human could create manually. And the human can review and the human can customize. Otherwise, it does not work because the language large models, you know very well, they're not that good to be given the driver's seats.
So you know what's crazy? So here's a big application, Philip, that just stood out to me. I can build. So if you go to OpenAI built the agent builder. So have you looked at agent builder yet? OpenAI released agent builder like 5 days ago or whatever it was. I would go to OpenAI's agent builder. I would build an agent that's going to do this workflow. And then I would have the agent send back action items to the operators through this message. So I could run the agent. I could run the agent at whatever, 1 hourly intervals. Okay. I could run it. I could have the agent run on a timer in agent builder. You could do the same thing in NAN, but I'm not going to do that with NAN in the cloud. I want agent builder. I can run an agent workflow locally. So I can create it and run it locally with OpenAI's agent builder. So you could run the agent background task on the hour and then message it back literally into an industrial platform, which, by the way, does not exist anywhere right now.
Yes.
So you're not going into some IIoT platform and having an agent instruct operators, analyze data, instruct operators. So you could build the toolkit. I mean, right now, I know there are people who are watching this who are like, wait a minute, I could do that right now. I could literally do that right now in FrameworX
Yes.
for my clients. I could literally do that on the production line. I could literally do that on the line.
Yes, you can do right now. That's important. So release it version.
So
And-
so instead of statistical process control, we need a new name. We need a new name for what this is, which is it's agentic business control, ABC, or agentic process control, because you can use agents to analyze and then send the action item back to the operator in the native platform right now.
Exactly. And to learn more how the language model interacts with the users, what is the AI assistant that you mentioned earlier? It's a much more simple tool, but still important. The GBT AI assistant is the GBT's extension that we feed our entire documentation to that AI. So you can, I need to sign up to do, perhaps you can do from your computer, Philip. But here it's just a standard ChatGPT, but trained in our use documentation. So you can ask questions about the product. It's really at this point in the system to the help documentation files. But it's still important because you are learning how precise or not the AI can be in user interaction. So instead of doing a search on the question, you would go to that window that's trained with the AI tool.
Wow, it's. I mean, first off, I mean, I've obviously we've been working together for years, right? I mean, and I've known what was coming in 10.1. I didn't know any of these features, by the way. I did not. I literally only just saw this an hour and a half ago, and I'm you guys. I've seen the demo for the first time, but my brain, my brain is just use case after use case, because you know the thing that I've been telling systems integrators. Oh, you wanted to talk about your Vanguard partnership thing. So this is a good segue into it.
Exactly.
So systems integrators, I've been speaking all over. Starting in Prague in April, I was like, you must know MCP, you must know MCP, you must know MCP. And every speech I've given this year, I was just at operations calling for Tulip last week, and I talked about, I did an MCP workshop. You must know MCP, you must know MCP, you must know MCP. Systems integrators all keep asking me. We start our integrator growth program on Friday. We have our 23 systems integrators for the next 16 months. We're going to be teaching how to be Industry 4 and Industry 5 integrators and how to scale. And everybody keeps asking me, what's the future of the systems integrator in the post-agentic world? And I said, well, my answer is a huge part of what you guys are doing is integrating agents. Like every tool out there is going to support MCP. Like it is a foregone conclusion that if your software doesn't support MCP, no one is buying your software. Okay, it's that simple. It is a decision to die. All right, you want to know, but in an industrial environment, you're going to have MCP servers everywhere. There's going to be hundreds of MCP servers in every manufacturing facility. Okay. And every one of those MCP servers require integration, especially in the industrial tools. So you're not going to have an agent connect to an MCP server in FrameworX and just figure out how to use the data in FrameworX. Why? Because there are things built in FrameworX by engineers to serve industrial and or business problems. There are solutions built in there, engineered in there. The teams that build those solutions are going to integrate them into agentic frameworks. That a huge piece of what SIs are going to be doing is agent integration, through model context protocol and agent to agent. You're going to be wiring together agents. Okay, this agent's going to be responsible for this, and this agent's going to be responsible for that. And you're going to use agent to agent protocol, just like you use OPC UA to connect OPC clients to devices. You're going to be using agent to agent to connect agents together. That's called an integration. That's what you're going to be doing. It's not the only thing you're going to be doing. You're still going to be doing the other stuff we do, but you need to add this toolkit into your offering. This is what SIs are going to be doing. And if you're going to be in part of this Vanguard program, right, you have this new SI program. You guys have changed the way integrators partner with TATSoft. This Vanguard partnership network, hey, you better know how to integrate with MCP if you want to really unlock the potential of FrameworX going forward after 10.1.
Exactly. And we did that really to make that really feasible. So in our main website on the System Integrator program, we explain the benefits of the Vanguard Alliances. So we put zero cost on the enrollments. We give very high discounts of $10,000 to. We are literally paying for you to learn. That's simple words. Okay.
What is a NFR? What not for resale license, right?
Yes.
So you get five. You get 5 licenses you can't sell, basically.
Exactly. So we can your entire infrastructure. We give you a 3 days focus training on your solution. How we can make you learn the software in 1 week instead of 3 weeks. It's not because we don't have feature for 3 weeks training. We do. But when you bring us what to be your first pilot, your first proof of concept, that's the requirement to have those benefits. We'll give you a tailored custom training in 3 days for what you need to your specific vertical. And that time investments, you recover right away when you put out the first licenses with the commercial help on that. So the Vanguard Alliance was designed to give both the training and the financial compensation to make the time available.
And you're going to, and this is by application. So you're going to decide which integrators fit the best in this program, correct?
Well, yes, you need to apply, and to apply, you need to have one case. Okay, you cannot apply. Okay, I want to apply, but I don't have any application next 6 months. That's not for you. So this only for the integrators that they have within the next 6 months. It can be a proof of concept, by the way.
Very good.
And I give an example of proof of concept. Right now, even I use another product. They have a stack with another SCADA system. You can deploy in 1-2 weeks a FrameworX getting data from that system and put a MCP proof of concept in 1 week in top of any platform your end user may be using.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, here's the
concept.
implications here, Mark. So for your market, the implications here are the other IIoT platforms are going to flip the fuck out. Like they're going to freak out when they see this. One of the things I'm going to do is ask Isabella if we can get a copy of this recording, and then I'm going to have our video editors piece together a 10-minute summary to put on our YouTube channels and stuff, because the Industry 4 community really needs to see the summary of this presentation, and we'll basically point them back to this podcast. Like if you want to see the full conversation, come back here. Because I think
the CP2 only, by the way, we have the built-in MQTT broker.
Right.
We have all the
we didn't cover any of the features that we didn't really because I mean, obviously the biggest impact for the message right now is the MCP stuff, right?
Yes.
But there's a whole, I mean, FrameworX in 10.1 is a completely new platform, basically. I mean, it's FrameworX, but the workflows, the feature sets, they're all things that have been on a roadmap, that we've been meeting on every year for,
It took me 5 years to build a roadmap. Wow.
But it's incredibly.
As we wait for more even advances on the design MCP, you can start playing with our AI assistants. For instance, the demos we did for this version, we start asking to create a unified namespace for a bottom line with 4 assets and 3 sensors on each asset. So we asked our AI assistant to create a unified namespace and the tags for that. And we just copy and paste those tags in our unified namespace model. So even before we deploy the full MCP integration for the designer, this tool we created to assist on the documentation is where we are telling the users to start using to give us feedback.
Wow. Because
we need feedback. Sometimes the answers we get with this AI tool is perfect. But I must also disclose, sometimes he goes to the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And sometimes only a small sentence here and there. So it's really a thing that needs some polishing. So that's the reason we decided not to put the full MCP feature right away. We decided to start with the runtime and start with the documentation.
Isabella, are you freaking out because we went over time, or can I?
No, not at all. I don't want to interrupt because the conversation is so good. For sure, like.
Can I ask one? I'd like to ask one more question, Mark.
Yeah,
so
let's do that.
So where is this going? Like we kind of know where. Like in your head, is it? Hey, we're going to kind of wait and see. Well, let me ask you this question. This is the question I have. It's not even my podcast. I'm just like fucking taking over. I'm sorry. All right. So obviously OEMs in this, you've been around forever, right? You built Indusoft, years ago and and then you built Tatsoft's Factory Studio, which became FrameworX. You've been in this industry forever, right? And I've been meeting with a lot of OEMs over the last few months, right? A lot. So many reached out for, hey, what's going on? What do we do in the age of agentic AI? And a lot of them are really scared, right? Because there's a lot of OEMs out there, a lot of software companies who sell things. What they actually are selling is all the labor that went into building a feature. Like they're not necessarily selling the feature. What they're selling is all the labor that went into building a feature in software, yes. Right? Mm-hmm. And that's no longer valuable because now if I can get 600x return, I can learn how to build the feature using an agent and I can build it myself in the agent. Now, that doesn't mean you necessarily should build all your stuff using agents, but there are certainly many, many use cases out there where when I do the cost benefit analysis, it makes a lot more sense for me to just build my own thing instead of buy somebody else's, right? So whenever you're doing that calculation where the vast majority of the end users are going to go, I should build my own thing instead of buying someone else's, those companies are probably not going to survive unless they change. But there are companies out there who are uniquely positioned to actually become more valuable in the age of agentic AI, right? FrameworX is obviously, it's all the platforms are that. So the data ops platforms are going to become more valuable, not less valuable. Like HighByte becomes more valuable in the age of agentic AI than it was before agentic AI, right? All the IIoT platforms, WinCCOA, FrameworX, and Ignition, they all become more valuable. And the reason why is, and I want to see if you agree here, it's because, to Philip's point, you talked about the data hub. I like to refer to them as a single pane of glass. The things that are the single pane of glass, it's a platform that's connected to all sorts of things, raw and contextualized, and I can connect, collect, store, analyze, visualize. I can do those things in those platforms. They are positioned to become, they're basically platforms that I build in, not platforms I piece together in, right? That's what a typical SCADA platform is, HMI. A platform where I can build anything. I could start with a blank canvas and I could build basically any application in it. They are uniquely positioned to become even more valuable in the age of agentic AI. But right now it's the Wild West. Like, how do you decide what to do in that platform? You, Mark, as the product owner, how do you decide which tools to add, which features to add? What is your approach going to be? Is it going to be turn this over to the world, see what they build, and then we'll harden some of those things as features we offer out of the box? Do you have ideas of your own? Obviously you do, but you have ideas of your own. What's going to happen in the next year with FrameworX based on all this potential?
Well, we make this decision not to try to go to any specific vertical.
Okay.
So we will keep that concept, but you are putting even more effort to have a clearer foundation to model the typical operations and apply standard securities and also standard data flow models. Because the problem is when you start to go in your applications, if you don't do that properly, you can create huge liabilities playing with AI. By the way, some large corporations, they have now in the vendor assessments, how much of software you do with AI. It's the new standard.
You saw what Deloitte did, right? Have you guys seen the report?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just in the last 5 days, CBS in Australia did a report on Deloitte, and Deloitte wrote a $400,000 report on, I don't remember, water, wastewater.
Yeah. Oh,
they wrote a report, and clearly they just had an agent write the damn thing, and it literally made up illegal references. It made up books. It quoted authors. It quoted real authors in books they never wrote. And you guys we're gonna highlight this in next week's 4 Things Industry 4. But that is not an isolated case.
It's not.
It's not an isolated case. Okay, because I see it a lot.
Yeah, in my article, I put, if you search Tacolini GPT-5 reasoning tests,
yes,
Gemini AI finds my article, but sometimes scratch to Giorgio, Paolo, Luke. Every time you do the query, it brings a hypothetical family member. That's
I get all these messages asking me why I'm not on LinkedIn anymore. Hey Walker, you've got 40,000 followers or 50,000 followers and you never post. And I'm like, because LinkedIn is a cesspool now. It's nothing but 95% of LinkedIn are posts by agents. I don't want to read a bunch of shit agents wrote. If I want to know, I want to hear Philip's opinion. I don't want to read the response that an agent wrote based on a prompt Philip gave it. I want to read Philip's opinion. That's why I was on LinkedIn. I want to, and it's like, to your point, there's a lot of people using agentic AI wrong. They're using it in ways they shouldn't be using it. And by the way, a big one is if you are relying on agents to be your software developers, anything above the junior developer, you are making a mistake. Exactly. Because that's not, you have to have senior developers supervising the work of agents. And that means every line of code. Here's an example, gang. If you have an agent write code for you, if you're building a platform and you have agents writing code for you, and you are not reading every single line of code before you accept it, you are the problem. You are not. That is not the way to do that. If you are not reading every single line of code and approving every line, then you are doing something wrong.
That's true.
I agree.
It is amazing to me the number of people who don't even know how their own applications are built. They can't even tell you the file structure of their own project. Think about that. I could ask you guys off the top of your head, how is Tatsoft Designer, what does the code base look like? And Mark's going to be able to list off all the modules. He's going to be able to list off everything that's sitting in the root. He's going to be able to list off all the references in the source. And it's amazing to me the number of people don't even know how their own code is written because they're relying on the agent to write it. Exactly. The agent is a tool. That's all it is to speed up the work you are doing. That's it, man.
Myself, Philip, everyone in our team knows the name of the 108 libraries we put on the distribution.
That's the way it needs to be. That's the way it needs to be. And clearly Deloitte, I'll call, by the way, this is ABC's reporting. Go watch the report yourself. Yeah. But Deloitte clearly sold a $400,000 report, and all they did was prompt an agent. Clearly, that's what they did. I mean, and that is a cautionary tale.
Yes. Yeah. So to your point, where I'm going, when you look at the big picture of our platform, can be a little overwhelming because there is lots of things here. So we try to make it more simple. So we are really making in new initiatives like called the 4 pillars architecture that you organize data foundation, industrial operations, business operations, user interactions, and you organize and drive the operator when creating and doing maintenance on those solutions through those abstraction layers. And we put some underlying technologies that the user will be relying, not even to have to think about those underlying technologies. So the concept is a two-side effort. In one side, we'll keep the full generic platform to all kind of applications. But on the user level, we are putting with the AI tools and the user interface a much more functional level, high level view, so the user can have an easier understand of the solution he's going to create. And make sure he will be automatically applying those underlying technologies when he does the application. So frankly, we are trying to make feasible for them to do reliable applications.
Can you, and real quick, Mark, can you quickly, well, actually, let me say this. If you're interested in, again, it's not my podcast, I'm the guest. It's great.
That's okay.
If you want to test drive this, you can go to tatsoft.com/FX-101. So it's FrameworX 10.1. So tatsoft.com/FX-101, and you can download version 10.1 in the middle of the page. So
yeah, there's a dash, but I put it on chat as well, so everybody has it.
Yeah, and on that, I would like to add, Walker, like once you just mentioned that one thing that I that was not on my plans. That's completely based on what you said a few minutes ago. You said that you're having a group of new system integrators come into your classes in the next few weeks.
Yep.
So I'm into the Industry 4.0 Discord. I'm making myself available for these people if they have any questions and if they want to learn how to use it. Ping me up on the FrameworX channel. Make sure you put my tag in there, and I can make myself available to personally guide them how to do that.
Hey, Vaughn, I know you're watching. Do me a favor, add Philip to the IGP Discord server. So we have an integrator growth program that contains just those integrators. The 23, it's me. We'll add you to it, and then and if any other OEMs want to offer that type of support, we'll add them to the IGP server as well. Because I think what we're going to do is I'm doing the foundations lesson on Friday. So it's a 4-hour workshop. It's basically, what is an Industry 4 integrator? How do you organize it? What's your philosophy? What are the things you got to do? What types of projects do you work on? That kind of stuff. And
we have, and just sorry to interrupt, Walker, we have our own new Discord server. So thanks for bringing it up, Philip. I put it on chat. It's also on our website under support. But we will be online, and not just Philip and Mark, but all of our amazing team of programmers and support to kind of help you guys through this as well. Like, send us questions.
That's what we're calling Technical Tuesdays.
Yeah, there you go.
Because of course you can be during the entire week, but specifically on Tuesdays, we are committed to be live every Tuesday.
Perfect.
So technical every Tuesday morning for sure at minimum. We have many top engineers live. That's what we're calling the Technical Taco Tuesdays.
Yeah.
So Vaughn, do me a favor, add Philip to the IGP workshop. Okay, for that. And then because I think so we're doing business development, operations, and then finance over the next. So this month is foundations, business development's next month, operations is in December, and then January is finance. And then we do every month we'll have the cohort meetings, and then we basically for 12 months we'll be helping the integrator scale. And then every other month I'll be meeting with the integrator, each integrator one-on-one, to address any specific, hey, I'm having problems managing cash flow, or I'm having problems recruiting staff, and here's my unique problem, and I'll be consulting on that stuff. But the question, the only thing we didn't touch on here, Mark, is containerized deployment, composable architectures. Can you talk real quickly, because obviously people are going to watch this, and people who've never worked with FrameworX are going to download FrameworX, and they're going to have questions. And composable is obviously, is important, right? Being able to deploy in Docker. Can you talk real quickly about composable architecture support and Docker support?
Oh, definitely. When you're doing drawing the displays, the more advanced drawing tools is the only piece of the platform we still need to run on Windows. But the entire management of the solution, start, stop, deploy, start. We have DevOps tools. You don't even need to run our tools. So you can do the full installation.
Right.
IT people like
Yes.
through the command lines. And we have the Docker containers also in the Docker sites. So you can pick up and install directly. And on those, it's really useful to have at least an idea on what we are regarding the product line, because the doc is even more important when you go to our entry point levels that we have these edge connects.
Right there.
That's a good picture for the entire product line. We start from the edge connect less than $1,000, machine stations, and the full enterprise solution. And to those here, you can use Docker here also, of course, but the Edge Connect is the cheaply one to just put out the Docker on the system.
And we're gonna, for those of you, we're getting ready to do our e-commerce platform where people are going to be able to buy their entry-level licenses through at 4.0 Solutions at IoT Now University, and we will be talking to TatSoft about giving you the ability to buy the Edge Connect license without ever having to, just using a P card, using your company card to buy the license through our platform. So we have not had that conversation yet. It'll be after this. So for those of you who are wondering,
lower entry points, we have an Edge Connect run in a Cisco router, Linux or OSX operating system with only 500 megabytes of space, not gigabytes. 500 megabytes.
Yes.
So a good example of container, we put this container in that Cisco router. The total size, we put 800 megabytes, but are using only 500. And getting data from PLC, Rockwell PLCs, doing data normalization, doing watchdog on the controllers, and publish up for 4 redundant broker. So this is an example of a container specifically designed for Cisco router, but you can have for Linux and other platforms as well. Thanks for the Linux runtime is the one we prefer to put inside the Docker. And you have the SQL databases, you have the reports, have the JSON, you have full scripting. So to be clear, what you call the IoT is way more than just a communication gateway. It has all the functionalities. It does not have the several capabilities and the displays, of course, but all the SQL database, all the scripting that low-level entry point has.
Sweet. This is pretty dope, man. Pretty. I'm
effort.
Yeah.
I can tell you.
It's pretty. I have a bunch of examples I'm gonna do using this version that you guys sent that I just downloaded from you guys. But I'll do a bunch of use cases and maybe film it and send you guys copies of the snippets, and if Isabel, if you can share the copy of this recording with us, our team will put together summary videos and put them on the YouTube channel. Cause I think the community really needs to see, this is a massive step for FrameworX, massive step. And so right now, a lot of people are struggling everyone's doing MCP support in their industrial applications right now using Python. They're using just native Python libraries. They're hooking into as an OPC client or through the MQTT broker, and they're building their own standalone Python MCP servers. But that's not scalable, right? You need something that you can manage. There's a whole host of limitations with that, not the least of which is you can't really put that in production on an OT network. So, and FrameworX lives on the OT side and the IT side. So it's really been missing. I didn't know you had these features in here. I knew that there was support, but I didn't know that this was how you implemented it.
Many of those features we went live last week, October 1st, to be fair. So
it's it's impressive, man.
Yeah.
Very impressive. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, just so Dave just mentioned as well, like if you guys want to make a note of that, we have strong cross-platform support as well. So highlight that.
Yes, one of the big things is native.net. Everyone see, it's got to run on Windows. No, that's not true. It is cross-platform.
Yeah.
So I wrap up telling again one thing to make sure. All that started 5 or 6 years ago when I met Walker Reynolds. He went to my training, and after the training, he came me with 25 items.
He still has the list.
Those items I was able to deliver only 2 weeks ago.
I literally, I was in a week. It was a week-long training, or 3 days, right? It was 3 days in Chicago.
Yeah.
So it's 3 days in Chicago, and there was maybe 15 people in the room, and I kept hijacking the conversation. I kept asking questions. Oh, what about this? What about that? And literally, the end of that week, I gave him a list. It was like, if you added these 25 features, you guys would crush. Like, you would just murder the market. And he's like, and he calls it the Walker list. And we've met we meet a couple times a year to go over the status on these features. And now, I mean, everything's in there. Everything's in this 10.1 release.
This meet is very special for me. That the first time after 5 years, I can tell you, as far as I know, that's entire stack and a little bit more.
Yes, it's awesome. Well, a lot more. I mean, we didn't even know anything about agentic AI at that time.
Well, 5 years ago, that was nothing but the table.
It's very impressive, man. Very impressive. Dave Hellier, I can tell you this. Dave Hellier is going to be excited because there's a lot of people who've watched this who are going to be reaching out because there's so many problems it solves right now. I mean, it's probably the stuff you don't even, but that MCP support, it's so elegant that I can create a project, inherit all these core tools, and I could literally build a project where the whole purpose of the project is to serve data to agents.
Yes.
Correct.
I mean, it's really, and that doesn't exist right now. There's no industrial platform right now that, like, HighByte's got some features in the data ops platform that can do that for you, but so much of HighByte's data is at a higher level. You have device connectors. So you can expose the device connection itself, which you can't do in HighByte because HighByte starts at an OPC client, not at a native driver level, right?
Yes.
So it's very, the world is your oyster right now, man. It's pretty sick. Pretty sick.
Very interesting months ahead of us. I'm looking forward to that.
All right. And for those of you in the community, we're going to be doing a bunch more with FrameworX over the next couple of months. And these guys, they will be at Prove It Again. So now I can't wait to see. So I'm actually doing a Prove It session to open the conference this year in February.
Oh, great.
So in the first hour, I'm introducing the show. I'm gonna let everybody know. Like, I'm gonna inform the audience on what the 3 virtual factories are. So one is life sciences, one is a discrete single site, one is a discrete multi-site. I'm gonna be doing a presentation on the virtual factories, and then the next 30 minutes I'll be doing my own Prove It session. And so I'm going to be picking some of the products. So my Prove It session is going to be using many products from the vendors, and I almost certainly will be using FrameworX in my presentation.
Right.
Oh, nice.
So awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, let me just thank you guys, Mark and Philip. As usual, you guys are great. And Walker, thank you so much for being here, for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
I was really excited. It was a great conversation. I'll send you the full presentation, and I put in on chat a bunch of links for you all to explore. But if you go to tatsoft.com, you'll find all of it as well. So once again, thank you, everyone. Have a good day, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
All right. Thank you, everybody.